You you
Yes.
think it's normal. You think it's normal. Yes,
Yes, this is
we
the
try to conciliate. Yes.
wow. Beautiful. And there's like something that you like uh, summarize the year, the passing year. You do some kind of a summary, or you summarize
Yes.
to yourself. How does
Um,
it go?
yes. It's more often by ourselves. I think you do for you, but it's a very very common practice in this time of the year. How can I say? You have a list and you check your list. Oh, in the past year, I want to do this, this, this. In the next year, I want to do this, this, this. There is a lot of promise, a
Mm-hmm.
promise of new year, and so it's a kind of tradition. You you do these lists for the next year, and you check your list of the past year. It's a very common tradition, and you make a lot of promises to the new year. It's very common, and you exchange gifts and presents in this time.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And shalom and good morning, Cindy. We're very happy that you're here. We're very happy that you joined. I just asked Rodrigo, how does it feel like 1 week before Christmas, the preparation? So Rodrigo was sharing with us how does it feel to prepare in Brazil for Christmas and how is the atmosphere. And maybe Cindy, would you like to unmute if you can and share with us how is the atmosphere today? Yes, almost 1 week before Christmas, like special preparation, or how is the people's mood? How is the weather? If you like, you can type or unmute and share with us how is the feeling. Meanwhile, yes, until you're right, yes. Here there is a preparation as well for Hanukkah, for the season, which is winter and the holidays. So everything is set on the shelves of the store. Everything is prepared because every year there's like new Chanukiot, new candles. It's like the seasons of candles. And so, but the atmosphere of holiday is very concised in. It's not so much, there is no, how do you say, when you go out, yes, in a public spheres, whether it's supermarket or malls, so you don't feel like we say Christmas fever or Hanukkah fever. So this year is very, very different. Everything is very muted, meaning the shops, in terms of seasons, they have what the season offers as Hanukkah or as Christmas time, like products on the shelves, but the mood of the people and the cautious people are very, very cautious. So it's interesting all of this because it happens at the same time. This is why I am asking also in Brazil and here in America, how does it feel before 1 week? What is the temperature? What is the mood of people 1 week before the holiday? Because here it's like 1 week before, but everything is very, very much tuned down, meaning there are products on the shelf, but there's no overexcitement or something will happen, and just people just would like to stay living, continue to live. This is the great, like Rodrigo says before, that people say, oh, they wish for the new year, things that they would like to make, to gain, to go through in life, like, or they wish for. Here is the only wishing that people have without speaking is to continue living. And I don't remember such atmosphere before, never. Because there was something, whatever happens in seasons, wars and conflicts and bombs and terrorist activity, so you could always feel like the pulse of the vibe of the holiday. But this year, it's interesting. Yes, Rodrigo?
What you just to share in this time, I believe, of course, we have our issues to deal, economics problems, of course, but I feel, how can I say, it's a time that we have some hope, some this expectation of newborn or reborn. I believe
Yes,
that everyone here, there is in the eyes this hope.
yes, yes. It's beautiful. It is so beautiful. It is so beautiful. Life always emerges. In spite of what everything is happening around, life is always emerging or stepping out from this concealment, from the nomenon, from the source to the manifestation. Whatever happens, life always continues and emerge. And this is so, so beautiful. So beautiful. If you have questions, Rodrigo, please go ahead, ask. Yes, Cindy is writing. The weather is peaceful, a little cold, lots of lights on the houses, all colors. Yes, our postmen are very busy delivering packages. I think many people are stressed, but I feel calm and peaceful. I've begun to let go of tradition and obligation. Life is full of joy. Yes, it is. It is. Once this is happening, to let go, to let go. Yes, such a beautiful, because every moment life is coming, and we just can inhale, and whatever comes, we are inhaling and at the moment. So good to see what you write. If you would like to share something, Rodrigo, would you like to read? Cindy, would you like to read a text? We shall be happy to hear you. Here at the moment, there's like, how do you say, quiet listening to what is happening around us, because the situation is changing rapidly, and we are trying to protect the civilians or the living here at the moment in the area. Yes, Rodrigo?
Eti,
Yes.
I'm just want to share a thought that I have yesterday, um, because I don't know if it makes sense, but just to share. And I don't know if you are already talk about this. I really don't remember. But yesterday I have, how can I say, 86 reais on my pocket, 86. And I remember the number of Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Elohim, 86 reais. And I spent 60, exactly 60. And so rest on my pockets 26, which is the tetragrammaton. And
Yes.
so I realized that the difference between Elohim and the tetragrammaton, the manifest and the unmanifest, is exactly 60, which is the value of the letter Samech.
Yes.
And I just think about this, how can I say, this distance. And just one letter separe the manifest and the unmanifest, and just and exactly 60. And I try to fit some ideas on my mind, and I don't know if you already shared to us the symbolic meaning of this difference, or the symbolic meaning of the letter Samach in this exactly contest, because the gap between the tetragrammaton and the Elohim, exactly the letter Samach. I don't know if you have something to share with us regarding this. I don't know, silly question, but
No,
if you
no,
want to
it's
share
not at
something, I
all.
appreciate. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Samech has the value of 60. Shalom, Yanis. Good evening. Samech has a value of 60, like 60 minutes, 60 seconds or so. So the difference or the gap between being, yes, and the manifestation is time, the 60, because we have the 60 seconds per minute and 60 minutes per hour. So this is the difference between, in a way, Elohim is the manifested, and 26 is the being, what is in the source all the time. So, yes, and the bridge is just time, the 60. What the moment brings, what the day brings about. Yes, this is it, or the secret. Because Samech also has the value of 60, but also the beginning of the word sod, which is secret. Yes, it's beautiful that you notice this. Beautiful. Most welcome. We always look at our personal life and try to learn or to scan what is happening. But the beauty of the biblical story is the, how do you say, the vast perspective of 26 generations. Meaning, we cannot look at one person, so to speak, life, human life, and say this is life. If we want to have a certain grasp of what is happening here, we have to take into account 26 generations. And then we have the full scope. Because usually what happens is that people, they have like life, few decades or so, maybe above 100, and they look and they share what happens in my life, which is 120, 200 even years. But the real thing is that when you look at not the story, but the happenings, what happens to the source, how the source appears from the nothingness to the manifestation in the range of 26 generations, then you can see that there is a plan. There is a plan. And everything is ordered. Though we don't tend to think in our daily life, we don't tend to think that there is an order to everything, because we don't understand everything. And this is quite interesting. Yes, 26 generations from Adam to Moses. Yes, those are the 26 generations from Adam to Moses. Yes, that's correct. This is the course. This is the course of the being. Starts with Adam, and then we see 26 generations. And those 26 generations are ordered in certain way. First they have 10, like the letters of the Tetragrammaton. 10 generations from Adam to Noah, and then 5 generations from Noah ahead, and then 6 generations, and then again 5 generations. This is the structure. Yes? And between those 4, let's say, units, there is a reset of systems. So from Adam to Noah, there are 10 generations. And then humanity, in a way, starts again. After the world, as we know it, is being covered by flood. And there's appearance or emerge of a new world, 5 generations. And then we have the Tower of Babel. Okay, this is the element of air, and so on. And there's like 6 generations, and there's the story of Sodom, and the world is being destroyed. by fire, and then we have 5 more generations, and then we have the Exodus. So also in this appearance of 26 generations, we are already containing the 4 elements. Yes, there is the element of water, air, fire, and earth or ashes. So all those elements are being concluded, each generation, not by itself, because it says, and these are the generations. So each unit is marked by one of the elements. Is this understood? There is order, not just of names and numbers. There is order also in the elements while moving from generation to generation. Yes, Rodrigo?
Chi,
Yes.
since you mentioned this movement of the Tetragrammaton from generations from Adam to Moses, and considering that the creation continue course until today, my question is, if this, how can I say this creation from continue to until our days, for example, if we have these transitions, because you mentioned also the between one letter and another, there is some transition, there is some events, not only the generation, but a kind of manifestation. You
Yes.
have the first 10 generations, then other 5 generations, then other 6 generations. My question is, if this movement continue until today, not stopped in Moses, of course, I believe. So we until this flow, this movement until our days, these transitions from letters of
Yes.
Tetragrammaton.
Yes, and you can also find the same structure in plants. Yes, I was hearing like a lecture from people who are dealing with plants, so they go more and more inside to the cell, and they find the same structure in a leaf. So there's like 10 and 5 and 6 and 5, the same print also in plants. So yes, it continues. It is amazing to think about it. It's also amazing that let's say the former generations, they left for us the story, not the story, but this print, the print. This is amazing, because this is not just a story that usually people look at the Bible and they say, okay, this is a story about a family, la, la, la. No, it's not at all about a family. It's about sharing how life stream from the source to the manifestation in a certain order, in a certain aim. Yes, but we cannot get it because we are myopic, meaning what we can grasp is only 1 generation or 2. People, maybe they remember their parents. Some people are adopted, so they have foster parents, and some people do not meet their grandparents, so they don't know who they are. So what is our really, how much we can catch? Maybe the children, the next, we cannot grasp more, maybe 4 or 5 generations. And if we speak about 4 or 5, let's say, generations, about your question, so this is only one element. Yes, let's say from Noah to the Tower of Babel, from Noah to Peleg, let's say, because there's Adam to Noah, 10 generations, and there's like elements of water, and then there's a new reset. And then we have 5 generations from Noah to Peleg. Peleg is like to to distribute, the distribution of men. Peleg, Dor Palaga, the distribution. So we have from Adam to Noah, 10 generations, and then we have restart, flood, water, and then we have 5 generations from Noah to Peleg, and then we arrive to the Tower of Babel. Yes, and there's 6 more, and then we arrive to Sodom. This is the destruction of fire. And 5 generations more, and we are in Egypt in the mud, ashes of earth. Yes. Yes, Rodrigo, if these generations tend to repeat themselves over the centuries, which generation would be by living in today? Let's say historians, let's say I read that few historians which were writing about the Second World War, yes, Second World War that happened, let's say about 80 years ago or more, they call it the flood. The historians, because so many people, so many writers try to conceive this topic. So they call it the flood. Yes, Second World War, they call it the flood. Yes, Luke is writing 10, water, and then, no, yes. Yeah. So we start, let's start, Luke. 10, and we have water. It's like music. 10, and we have water. And then 5, yes, and we have air. Yes, the Tower of Babel, in the time of Peleg, there is a distribution of mankind. Yes. So 10, water. 5, air. 6, fire. 5, earth. Just change it. Okay? Let's do it again. Yanis, do you understand? 10, water. Very good. So let's write it. I'll try to catch it. 10, water. Yes? Yes. And then what? 5 from Peleg. And then we have air. The Tower of Babel. Yes? And then we have 6. And then we have Sodom, which is fire, was destroyed by fire. Yes? Fire. Yes? And then we have 5. And then we have the work in Egypt in mud to create the brick. So this is earth. Yes? Earth. Yes. There we have it. Earth. This is the structure. From Adam to Noah, this is 10 generations, and there's a restart. Before the restart, there is a destruction that comes from the element of water. And there's a restart, yes? And there we have 5 generations, and there's a destruction of air. Why do you say air? Because people, the language, there is the change in language, and language is the element of air. The air that we blow outside of the mouth creates the words and then communication. So the Tower of Babel is marked by the air. Yes? And then there are 6 generations from the Tower of Babel until the destruction of Sodom. And Sodom is being destroyed or opposite by fire. And then we have 5 more generations, and there's enslavement in Egypt. And then the Exodus in a way starts because we find the people just making bricks, dealing with mud all the time, collecting hay, putting some water and mud and creating those bricks. So this is earth. So we have like here the 4 elements, and the Holy Blessed He sealed His name, yes, by describing or showing us the way of the 26 generations. Okay, the people have names, yes, but also when we count, we see the order of things. So we count 26 generations that between them the elements are coming. And whenever there's a transition, we find different names, yes, different happenings, and so. But this is how the Holy Blessed He and the Bible is his signature. It's not about people. It's not a story about family or like Jacob loves Rachel. This is not about that at all. This is his signature. He would like to tell us or to communicate to us through people, through the names of the places, through the names of the trees, the names of the river, the birds, the animals. It's a communication. This is a sharing. Yes? This is a sharing. Yes, the word Babylon seems to be around the internet these days, maybe only in what catches my internet. But is anyone else hearing that the word more is recently? I don't know. I just don't know. Depends. Depends. Let's ask Janis, do you hear more often today the name of the word Babylon? Luke, Rodrigo, do you hear more than usual? You find it more used? Yes, yes, about which generations we are in. Yes. It's not that it is that schematic, yes, that in which generation are we, the 25th, the 26th, the 24th. It's not about that. It's just, this is how it goes. This is how it goes. The being, the holy, what is the tetragrammaton? Is the being. So the being sometimes manifests itself, yes, through water, through air, through fire, yes, different modes. Yes. We wish you a good travel. Yes. Wish you a very good Christmas. Right to Rome. Wow. Wish you a safe flight. Yes. Beautiful. Wishing you a safe flight and a safe being wherever you are. Take care. That's great. That's great. Will you participate in the prayer at the Vatican? Luke, since you're going to Rome, will you participate in the prayer at the Vatican there? Usually the broadcast is every year. Wishing you a very good Christmas with good weather conditions and greetings to everyone in Rome. So the Holy Blessed He is just communicating to us through the names, through the generations, through the elements. So though to our eyes, yes, or ears, we hear different names or we see different elements in the manifestation, it's all, in a way, everything comes from the same source, the source of being. Sometimes it manifests through water, sometimes through fire, air, and earth, but it is coming from the same source. Ciao, 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 Luke and family and friends, and happy Christmas. Just to give us example, we look at the tree. And we say, this is a tree, yes? And we look at umbrella, which is made a bit of metal and then piece of like nylon or fabric around it. Yes, and the tree is like a manifestation of life that comes from the earth. And we could say umbrella comes from the factory. There's a metal piece and nylon or some kind of cover or paper or rice paper, depends on But all of those materials, they are emerging or coming from one source. So to our eyes, we are seeing a tree, and you say, "Wow, tree, something that natural comes, appears in the season." An umbrella, was made in a factory. So, but all of those things are coming from the same source. The bricks of a building, yes, the roof, the glasses, like glass of water. Glass comes from the sand that we put in the oven in a very, very high temperature, and then the sand crystallizes into glass. So where those, let's say, materials are coming from. So there is a sand and there's a wood, yes, but all of those elements are different ways of the source to manifest itself. To our eyes, they look different. Brick is different than, let's say, a piece of wood or a match. Yes? All of them are coming from the source. And guess what? We are also the source. Very good. You found the passage, Cindy. You're welcome. Hello, Cindy. Good morning.
Good morning. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can. How do you do?
Good. Thank you very much.
Yes, what would you like to read for us today?
Yeah, I am doing roots of the Bible, kind of like you said, to just open it and read and see what comes. I like to do that. And this was in the the re the return, and it says economic problems. So on page 471, but I thought this passage was beautiful. He writes, yet we see that in spite of the Arab Rob, I don't know if I'm saying that right, the mixed multitude, I guess. Um, so, yet we see in spite of the Arab Rob coming along, this journey across the desert is a good thing. For every failure owing to the operation of this gravity is followed by insight into the error, by repentance, by a more intense turning to God, and by a return to God. This reaction lends sense to failure. It delivers it from the covering and binds it to the good. The purpose is exactly that evil is set free by the return. It has fulfilled its purpose as power on the way of development. It gets its ultimate significance in that it becomes the cause of insight, of the realization of the significance of the alternative at the extreme point of development. This insight leads to that which in a man's sentiments is expressed as remorse at not recognizing the purpose of life, and to man's uniting with the origin, and becomes significant in that it can become the cause of a dialogue with God and of retracing one's steps. It may be put this way: sin is waiting, just as everything in the world is yearning for the contact with man, so that it may be united with God. I thought that was really beautiful and kind of a new way of seeing error, a new perspective.
Yes.
And then had a question about, I'll skip a paragraph, and it talks about Cain and how he had to cover the way back as a fugitive and a vagabond.
Yes.
Because he had enslaved and killed the soul. And I wasn't sure exactly what that meant, to enslave and kill a soul and to become a vagabond and a fugitive. If you might could expound on that a little bit more.
Yes, thank you for the question. It's not so much the kind story, it's not so much historical about it.
Mhm.
Yes, when we go out to the world and just ignoring this the speech or the mind, how do you say, the equanimity that the soul has inside, and we are just going out to the world and bouncing between the poles like fugitive and vagabond from this edge to the other edge without being aware that there is a soul inside. And the soul, in a way, lacks nothing. Nothing is that needs to be nourished or to being taken care of. And it gives completely peace. But since we're not relating to the soul, because maybe we are incapable in the beginning, because there are so how do you say, many curtains and layers that is hiding from us the existence of the soul. So we go into the world, we hello or goodbye, we bounce between the poles, and then there's like, oh, okay, why is I'm getting beaten so many times from side to side? Good afternoon, Abigail. And then there's maybe another alternative, because once we are capable of thinking and computing, the brain always offers us other scenarios that are happening outside in the world, so to speak. So, and by, in a way, buying into this, there's like ignoring this quietness of the soul, because the soul doesn't lack anything. The soul doesn't have any conditions. Yes. And this is quite interesting. The soul has no needs, because the soul is not coming from here. I mean, we speak about the source and the manifestation, and I was saying before that we are also the source. It is interesting, where does the speech coming from? Where does this communication comes from? From the source. Yes? But in a way we hear, like just say for this conversation, there are different names in class. Yes? Abigail, Yanis, Rodrigo. So while there is a conversation in a community, there's like speech or stream of thoughts that comes from Yanis or from Rodrigo or from Abigail. But it comes from the source. For life to happen, people in a way needs bodies or egos, because through those names, like in the biblical story, through those names, speech will come to the world, relationship could go and work, appear. Yes, so there is a necessity. Yes, without the source there is no image. Does Hebrew explain our existence by using in the image of God? Yeah, B'Tselem Elohim has the same value as womb in Hebrew. B'Tselem Elohim. Do you have a gematria next to you, Rodrigo? Would you like to test it? 1 second. B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God. B'Tselem Elohim. Elohim is 86. B'Tselem Elohim. Does it go 248? Like Rechem, let me try to see. In the image of God. Yes. As far as I remember, B'Tselem Elohim is 248. Yes? like rechem, like womb. Yes. Rechem, womb. Womb is 248. Yes? 248. So, in order to appear here on earth in the image of God, yes, something has to happen. The spark has to go through a 3D printer called womb. Do we understand that? Did you understand, Cindy? I hope you do. Now also, and this is a beautiful, because you were reading the text about walking in the desert. There is the fourth book of Moses is called Numbers in English, Numbers, yes, because it is a translation. The fourth book of Moses in Hebrew called Bamidbar, Bamidbar, translated in the desert, in the desert, in the desert. And the value of Bamidbar in Hebrew, in the desert, is what? 248. Yes. Excellent, Rodrigo. Therefore, Luria says that walking in the desert is like what happens to the fetus in the womb. Those journeys. How many journeys are, please pay, because everything is encoded in the letters and in the numbers. How many voyages the Hebrew have in the desert, or the Israelites? How many voyages? Yes, 42. So you see, Bamidbar in the desert is 248. How many voyages in the desert? 42, the same digits in different order. So again, let's go back to Luria and how he perceived the walking in the desert. Yes, Bamidbar is a parallel picture to the fetus in the womb. Because in the womb, what happens? There's a split all the time. Yes? In order for us to have a baby after 9 months, if we're speaking about human baby, after the sperm meet the egg, starts splitting of cells. So part of the cells will become hands. Part of the cells will become eyes. Part of the cells will become lungs. There's a distribution all the time and splitting. But eventually, from this womb, Rechem 248, or Bamidbar, from the womb will emerge baby after 9 months. And from this walking in the desert, or 40 weeks, 40 years in the desert, which are again parallel to the number of 40, because human pregnancy is 40 weeks. Yes, we have 40 years in the desert, and human pregnancy is 40 weeks. Finally, a people will appear. Like Moses says, here, Israel, you become people. You become a baby, not like separated cells of Erev Rav, of mixture of all kinds of cells and tissues. You become people. Am Israel, the people of Israel, is like a baby. Baby is being born from the womb. It's not a collection. Let's say the midwife or the doctor are not taking out of the womb all kinds of Erev Rav, mixture of plasma, of blood cells, yes, of, I don't know, like magnesium, potassium, all kinds of minerals. The doctor does not take out of the womb all kinds of cells. He doesn't. If everything is walking the way it should, according to the code of nature, cosmic law, a baby will come out of the womb. One complete human will come out after 40 weeks. Like after 40 years in the desert, one spirit will come from the desert or from the womb. One spirit, one baby. It's a similar picture. Yes, the Hebrew Rechem is so beautiful. Just letters. Look how they built every letter. Yes, yes, yes. So we see, and it's not easy to walk in the desert for 40 years. And it's not a play on the, how do you say, walk in the park to be a fetus in the womb. It's not a walk in the park because there's all the time distribution and growing. Yes, and it's the womb is a place of duality. Why do we say that? Look at the human body. We have two eyes. So it's duality again. Two eyes, two ears, two lungs, two nostrils, two hands, 2 feet, 2 knees, and so this is a place of duality and combat. Yes? But after 40 weeks or after 40 years in the desert, this collection of different parts will become one people, one spirit. And also in the womb, after 40 weeks, this collection of what is happening there will appear as a baby. People like to see great movies like Oppenheimer, like this movie about the atom bomb, or the scientist who came with this idea, what happens if we just don't look at the theory of physics, but we test it in the laboratory. What will happen if the theory is working? This is the movie Oppenheimer. Maybe you've heard about it. Maybe you have read about it. In a way, this is the way how America, the United States, won the war over Japan. So everybody is fascinated about the fire or the mushroom or the what happens once there's an operation of such a bomb. So, wow, what a fire. How can this something gigantic can happen? And so, and people like it because you can camera, you can put it, you can show it. And people do not look what happens in the womb. What happens in the womb is not any different, yes, than splitting the atom. This is why the pregnancy is so hard and difficult and dangerous. So people, okay, let's learn physics, let's learn chemistry, mathematics, let's split the atom, such an energy comes out from there. The same thing happens in the womb. The splitting of the blood cells creates such a, how do you say, reaction of heat. People do not speak about this. Ladies do not speak about those things. Maybe to their relatives, maybe they're not. There's a great silence of the lambs about it, about being pregnant. There's only description of scientific happening and counting of numbers and measures. Yes? But Orna Dunat, there is Israeli lady who made a research about it, because in Israel, there in relation to the rest of the world, there's a lot of births happening, because who knows why? Maybe because of the threat of war. Nobody is really in charge, because this is whatever comes from the source. But she searched, and she asked the ladies who are pregnant, and she asked them very, very distinct questions of what ladies, again, do not speak about it. This is, how to say, this is unspeakable field. The doctors, you will find many, many books about pregnancy, how to operate, how to infertile in the lab, on the petri dish. You will find scientific papers from here to nowhere. But what really happens inside, nobody speaks about. This is, how do you say, this is a holy cow that nobody is willing to open even topic. But a lady here a few years ago opened this topic, and she went and interviewed like thousands of ladies here about the process of being pregnant. And you get a completely different picture, because what is happening is that there's a nuclear reactor inside of a person, human being, also in nature itself. This is how life is going on all the time. There's splitting in humans, in animals, but nobody speaks about it. Because for many reasons. Maybe the reason is that finally after 9 months a baby will be born, and it just covers everything, but this is a nuclear reactor. Yes. This is, once we were leaving the office, we went for not every pregnancy develops whatever. Life has its own course. So we were going to the doctor to see that everything is all right, because not everything, we had to be checked up at the doctors. And I was going to the doctor's office, and he was saying, because there was a miscarriage, well, things are happening. And Andrei was staying outside, and he saw that so many ladies are crying in the waiting room and in the garden, and people are taking it really, really, really hard if the pregnancy does not develop as people expected, or if the fertilization, IVF they call it, I don't know how they call it, when there's like helping of people to get pregnant, IVF. So there were ladies crying all over the clinic, like taking it really, really hard. Either they did not manage to conceive, or the pregnancy did not manage to continue as expected. They were so devastated. I didn't see this because I was in the office, and I was so happy that it's just ended the way it did. I cannot even express it. But people, each one takes it in a different way. But what happens really in the pregnancy is like nuclear reactor. This is what happens. But nobody speaks about it. This is a holy cow. There is how do you say, silence, agreement, not to speak about it. It's not clear why, but it is far from being close to the truth, what people are sharing. The truth is something else. Any questions or thoughts? Something that you would like to share? This is a very, very difficult and dangerous process to be pregnant. Once you're pregnant, you get a book from the doctor that your life is in danger, and the babies as well. It's quite dangerous moment. But this is how life are being manifested here. They come from the nomenon to the phenomenon through this nuclear reactor. And this is in a way, the sages and Weinreb, they try to tell us, look at what the Bible writes. It's a description of how different cells, in a way, are becoming a baby, or different elements becoming one people or one spirit. It's the same. You see, Cindy? It comes from the source. I supposed to be aborted. Yes, I was supposed to be aborted by the 4th month, to be abducted from the womb. This was the plan. And divinity has its own plans, you see. Nobody knows. What do we know? We know nothing. We know nothing. And that's the beauty of it. So I would like to thank you for being or participating here in this beautiful conversation. I would like to wish you a very good Christmas, very good Hanukkah, Shabbat Shalom, and see you as soon as possible. We shall be here on Saturday at the same time. If you have time, you're most welcome to join us. Thank you so much for being good friends. And beautiful season to go. Shalom, shalom.